And I wanted to shout out Fat Man Zoom for this too, because he talked about this. Well, back in here, if we go look at the sideways part of this chart back in early mid July, actually it's probably a little bit later July, but either way, we had I couldn't pull up the date, but it was right around this time where Netflix sold off, and I think it was right after their earnings. We had brought it up and mentioned that this was a really good opportunity because they had some really poor earnings, which we actually expected. We weren't expecting them to blow it out of the water, and the reaction was not surprising here, but it's been moving up quite well. And actually on Thursday, it had one of the biggest days that it had since the beginning of the year, and it is very close to a 4-month high. With Netflix, they announced that they're coming out with more original content, which is something that Fat Man Zoom and I concurred, mentioned that was going to happen as we got towards the fall. We have a lot of momentum here. Here's the other thing: a lot of Netflix users, realize that some of their titles now support Apple's spatial audio technology, which could have supported a lot of or could explain away some of the moves that we saw from Netflix. But I don't think that that's necessarily one of the biggest reasons why. I think obviously it could be a reason why we saw some moves up, but I think there's a multitude of reasons as to why we're seeing Netflix move back up. Where we saw some more folks, we saw some more people sign up with Disney Plus, which I think could make the argument for a bear case for Netflix. But I actually think it could be a more of a bull case, kind of like how we see, daily active users that go up on some of the other social media platforms, and then their competitors end up going up as a result, because it's everybody uses them. And I think that we could start to make the conversation with Netflix and Disney Plus and some of the bigger players that if you have Netflix, there's chances are that you have both Disney Plus and not just one or the other. So I think that there's definitely a case that you can make for Netflix to be bullish. And I would say that if this makes its way back up over 560 this week, I think it has a really nice breakout for who knows when.
Yeah. I think you were saying maybe another quarter where you agreed with me as far as general bullishness. We talked about catalyst. I think Disney, I totally agree as far as like, it's not that we're just going to have one streaming service. Like top two will be fine, because you think about people that are cutting the cord. If they were paying $100, what does cable cost? Like $100, $150 minimum.
Yeah,
you can get 2, 3, 4 services, and so Disney obviously makes sense for your kids. Disney doesn't encompass everything, whereas Netflix can really give you everything. And Disney's a great service, and it'll last for a long time. But it's also kind of handicapped by its team, because its content, Disney's content is made by a team, whereas Netflix can buy content from others, right? And so your range of content you can produce, the ceiling's higher for that, whereas Disney, the ceiling's actually a little bit lower. However, the floor, I believe, for Disney is higher than the competitors. So it may not, I struggle to see Disney long-term, like solely holding the number one spot. But I think Disney will be a firm number 2, continue to dominate. Look out for Prime, though. I'm just saying, look out for Prime.
I agree. I still find shows on Prime. The problem with Prime is that it feels really unorganized when I compare it to Netflix or Disney Plus. When I'm trying to find shows and stuff, if they figure that out, I think they'll be fine. But I still stumble across shows that I'm like, oh, this is awesome. I just started watching Hunters, and I was like, I forgot about this show. I was like, I wish it would have been brought back up. But yeah, I agree. I think Prime, with some of the other stuff that they have going on too, with the NFL deal and obviously Twitch and all that stuff. But yeah, it's going to continue to roll here.